So for the next assignment, you are going to do a creative self-portrait. So if you think back, drawing 1, we do a half face. Drawing 2, we do a creative self-portrait where the face features need to look like you. The eyes, nose, mouth need to look realistic. For this project, now we're going to take self-portrait to a more creative level. You're going to have a little bit more creative freedom on this one. So you can see something like this is still pretty realistic, but there's a little bit of artistic license in here, which just means you can tweak reality as you seem fit to make it a little bit more of an artistic, self-expressive endeavor. This is a project where you can do more self-expression. You can get a little more emotive, like show an emotion with it. So something like this you can still see with these heavily shaded eyes and the expression on it. There still is definitely a little bit of an emotion to this, even though it's mostly realistic. Something like this, we're still going to be using traditional drawing materials, but you can see this is definitely something that you could do with pen. If this sort of graphic kind of a look appeals to you, you can do something a little bit more along these lines. So we're not worrying quite as much about modeling of light and shadow as we have been. Now it still is based on you, it's inspired on your face, but now you can add some sort of creative element to it. This is a close-up of one of Van Gogh's many self-portraits. So you can tell, especially through the expressive brushwork and also the coloring. The eyes, this definitely has emotion to it. All right, this is a great example. This expresses a state of being. There's definitely an emotion to this. So this there's a few of these that I got from art school catalogs. So this is something that's definitely a self-portrait, whether portrait or self-portrait, where you can tell, you'd be able to know who this person was, but the looseness of the brushwork, the kind of chaoticness of it, the hand placement and the look, it's kind of haunting with the shadow. There's a definite feeling to this, so it doesn't have to be 100% realistic, photorealistic. It can be very much expressive. Art school catalog. So let me just point out a few. There's a definite mood. It still is a self-portrait. Same thing. This one's very low contrast, but it definitely gives you a more subdued feeling for sure. This one with just using color differently, using color and line to create an emotion. So maybe this is something that inspires you. Once again, kind of a graphic art, but you could definitely do that with pen. So hopefully these give you a few ideas. Got another expressive, kind of feeling to it for sure. A couple more. You can see it's where I got the full-size one. A lot of this too is about facial expressions. If you wanted to go a little bit more intense with your facial expression, same thing. The eyes. So you're going to do a creative self-portrait, but in this time you can distort. This isn't so much a distortion as something like this would be a distortion. Okay, so if you want to distort reality, if you want to make yourself look a little bit different to get the emotion, that's okay. Once again, talk about getting an emotion based on the real features, but all of this expressive gestural, this is almost similar to our last project with the jazz improv line to it. There's definitely an emotion on this one. There's another one on the back that's even a step darker. Not saying you have to go dark. All right, finishing up with a couple more well-known artist examples. These aren't necessarily self-portraits, but portraits. This is Salvador Dali, Surrealism. This is a great example too, because if you look at this, it's all these orbs, these spheres. And then there's a couple of, eyebrows and shading just to give you the idea of the eyes and the nose and the mouth, right? And when you look at it from farther away, you can definitely see the person's features. A little bit of movement, lines and trails for hair. If this is something that inspires you and you want to go for it with something like this, then more power to you. All right, and this is another Salvador Dali, same thing. This would be enough to give me, the inspiration based off of your face, but then you can integrate it into different shapes. So have a little fun with this. You can get as creative as you want to. If you are not real sure how to approach this, Then maybe you start with, a few of these kind of ideas. Something like this. There's examples of creative self-portraits where you work in charcoal and you do this, and then you even like draw some lines through it and then build it back up, but to get just that chaotic feel. The sky's the limit. You just gotta brainstorm a little bit with materials. What materials do you want to use, and what emotion, or if you don't want any emotion, what other design elements can you include, color, no color, etc. Lots of possibilities, so start brainstorming.